Are you in the process of trying to downsize or declutter your house, or it's a project that you've been pushing off and kicking that can down the road because it's kind of hard to get started and you don't know where to start? Then this video is for you. In this video, I'm not going to give the specifics of how to go about getting rid of everything. I actually have another video on that topic. I'll put a link down in the description and there will be a link to it at the end of this video. In this video, based on the feedback I got from that other video and based on my own experience and my own feelings, I'm going to share what is the most difficult part of being able to downsize and get rid of a lot of stuff. And I'm going to give you some tips to help you kind of move through that challenge. If you're new to my channel, I do know a little bit about downsizing. I sold everything that I own. I had a 4-bedroom house with a 3-car garage. My husband had passed a year before I got rid of everything, and I didn't like living in the house with all those memories, and so I decided to get rid of absolutely everything, travel around the world, live in timeshares, cruise ships, that type of thing, until I could figure out where I wanted to relocate to. And if you'd like to follow along in my journey, hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you as a part of my community. And whether you live vicariously or I give you ideas on where to travel, I'm happy to have you along for the journey. Before I get started, let me know in the comments, is this something you're currently in the process of, or is this something that you're planning to do? And if I share something that resonates with you, again, leave that in the comments. And if I've left anything out, let me know. Like I said, I'm not a professional declutterer. I feel like I'm really experienced because I sold everything that I own. And by the way, everything I own right now fits in a 4x3 by waist high storage unit in Phoenix. And I'll tell you what's in that storage unit at the end of this video. And the rest of it fits in the trunk of my car because it's clothes and stuff that I wear in my travels. For those of you who have already seen that other video, I really want to thank you for the feedback that you gave me based on some of the questions that I read, like how do you get rid of your fine china and stuff like that, really prompted me to do this video. And by the way, I'm not in a timeshare right now. As you can tell, it doesn't look like I'm in a timeshare, but I'm at a friend's house. And these albums also were a reminder to me of one of the challenges that I went through in getting rid of stuff. So the hardest thing is the emotions, our emotional attachment to all the stuff that we're going to get rid of. And also at the end of this video, I'll tell you, do I have any regrets, or what items do I wish I had not gotten rid of? And I'll answer that question at the end of this video as well. So here are some tips to help you get past the emotional attachment when you're trying to downsize and declutter your house. So this first one was, I asked for help. When I was going through stuff, it was really easy for me to get sidetracked, and also everything brought up some memories. But when I asked for help and somebody from the outside came in and I said to them, I need to get rid of all of this stuff, can you help me? They have no emotional attachment. They're there to do a job, and you can buy them lunch, buy them dinner, pay them whatever. But when I had, there were a couple of different friends that came over, we got so much done because they didn't have that emotional attachment, and they would just like plow through a closet or plow through something. If there was something that they thought I really needed to focus on or something like that, they brought that to my attention. Having help really helped me get through some of the emotion where it would slow me down, and it really kept me moving a lot faster. So ask for help. The next thing is, let go of what you think something's worth. I had a salt and pepper shaker collection of my mother's. There were over 1,000 pair of salt and pepper shakers. And I knew inside this collection, there were probably some real gems. But the time it would take for me to sort through all of them to find the ones that had a lot of value, it simply wasn't worth it. And so that salt and pepper shaker collection caused me a lot of anguish. It was, number one, hard to get rid of something that I've grown up since my first memories. My mother had this collection, and I knew I was going to be seeing it for the very last time. That being said, I ended up selling the whole collection to someone who had an eBay account, and she was super delighted. She kept some of them for herself, and then I knew that she could go through and sell it. And so if you have a collection of any kind, whether it's plates or spoons or a collection of bells or a collection of salt and pepper shakers, people don't collect things nowadays like they used to. And that collection, while there may be some value in it, as a whole, it's probably not worth what you are hoping it would be worth. And so just separating yourself from what you think something would be worth versus what it actually is worth. And in my last video, somebody asked about fine china. And in my experience, I had several sets of fine china dinnerware that I had collected throughout the years, wedding sets and what have you. And I thought they were absolutely beautiful. Some of them were antique, and I was shocked that there was pretty much no value. I couldn't even give these things away. And so, and maybe it depends on what area you're in the country. But I noticed as I was getting rid of stuff, I thought things would have a lot of value. The record collection that I had, I thought, would have a lot of value. But then I had to look, okay, there might be one or two albums that have a lot of value. But as a whole, it wasn't worth near what I thought it might be worth. So detaching yourself from what you think it's worth. On the other side of that coin, I had a silver tree. You remember those? And this is for the over 50 crowd. Do you remember those silver trees that you would stick all the little branches in, and then they'd put a colored light and put the tree on a stand that twirled around? I would have thrown the thing away. It had this old crusty box, but a friend of mine said there might be some value in that. And sure enough, when I looked up on the internet, I ended up selling that tree for over $200. And I had tons of people who wanted that tree. I could have sold it for way more than I did. So before you just give stuff away, you also do want to do some research on some of those older items. It's just anyone's guess as to which things have a lot of value and which things are going to be a real struggle to get rid of. But you need to detach yourself from what you think it might be worth based on your own sentimental value. Here's another thing that I learned. I had some things that were going to be really hard to part with. And I talked about this in my last video. I'll talk about it in this one because this was a biggie for me. My great aunt had given me an antique organ that had been built back in the late 1800s. And there was huge sentimental value because I loved the craftsmanship of this organ, and it came from my great aunt. And so I was originally going to get a storage unit big enough for that organ. And then I was also going to put a antique bed frame so that when I ever decide to settle down and live in one house, I would have my organ and I would have at least a bed to get set up. But then I started thinking about it, and it was going to cost to store this organ and a bed. And over the course of however many months or years I would be on the road, I'm starting to do the math going, this is going to be a lot of money to store these two items. And they're going to be in a dark room where nobody can appreciate them. And so I had to get to the place where a photograph was as valuable as the actual item. I have access to the photograph 24/7 on my phone and on the cloud in my pictures. I can see those items anytime I want and just cherish the memories that those items bring. And here's the really, really cool thing. When I did finally decide that I was going to get rid of these items, it brought so much joy to the people who bought them. And I love the fact that now people are truly appreciating. And I'll tell you a quick story. I know I talked about the organ in my last video, but I don't think I shared this story. I had this antique bed. I don't even remember where I got it. And I looked up online some antique beds and priced it at what I thought it would be worth based on what I was seeing online. And I think I put it at like $280 or $300. I had this young girl who said, I really can't afford that, but I'd really love to buy it. And at the time, I wasn't willing to drop the price. So she got her parents to help her in the purchase of this bed. And when she came to pick it up, she almost started crying. She's like, "Oh my God, it's an Elliot. Are you sure you want to get rid of this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sure I want to get rid of it." And she's like almost in tears. She's like, "Mom, it's an Elliot." And I'm like, "What is an Elliot?" And I said, "Is it worth a lot of money?" And she goes, "Yeah, this bed is really worth about $1,000. And then I said, "Then it's your lucky day, because I didn't do enough research and I want you to have it and cherish it." And even though I could have gotten more money for that bed if I'd have done a little bit more research, the joy it brought on her face. She was maybe 17 years old, but the fact that she knew what this bed was and will truly appreciate it. So a picture can be just as valuable as the actual item. I have the memories of that bed. I have the memories of that girl buying that bed, and I have photographs that'll have the story and those memories forever. And finally, if there's something you don't want to get rid of, like you just can't bring yourself to part with it, then don't. You don't have to get rid of everything. The tips that I'm giving you inside of this video are maybe it can move you forward in this process and help you get rid of a few more things. But if you're stuck on that one item, and I was stuck on the organ for a long time, but if you're stuck on that one item, then keep it. Weigh the cost of putting it in a storage unit, because quite often once it goes into a storage unit, out of sight, out of mind, and that's a lot of money that you can be paying to store something that you could replace down the road. But if you really can't part with something, keep it and cherish it and put it in a place where you can enjoy it every single day. I'm often asked, is there anything that you regret getting rid of? Would you have done anything different? And here's the answer to that. No. Once I got rid of everything, I realized how emotionally attached I was, and how I think most people in general are, how attached we are to our stuff and the peace of mind it brings us, the security it brings us, but it's just stuff. And now that I'm on the road and I'm traveling around the world, and everything I own fits in the trunk of my car, nothing has a lot of value to it, and what little that I do have is in a tiny little storage unit. I think I pay $35 a month for it. What's in that storage unit is a crystal collection that was very sentimental to me. It started with my uncle's love for rocks and crystals, and then I added to it with my travels over the years, and that was something I couldn't part with because I could never get those same rocks back. And so I have that in my storage unit along with some photos. I did keep a set of dishes, partly because I realized dishes have so little value. And these dishes came from my great aunt, who also gave me the organ. So I have very few things in my storage unit. I could actually, in fact, my storage unit isn't even halfway full. And I don't regret anything that maybe I should have kept and had the room for. I really love the freedom of not having the burden of all of my stuff. I hope that this video has brought you some value, giving you some different ideas. If you're going through this process, let me know, what is the most difficult part for you? Is it the emotions of it, or is the actual getting rid of stuff? And so if it's the actual getting rid of stuff, again, I have a video. I'm not sure which side it's going to be on, but I'll link to a video where I tell the steps I took and some of the things I ran into as I was actually physically getting rid of everything. So if that will help you out, there's a link to it here or there or down in the description. And with that, I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to be notified next time I go live, and I'll see you in the next video.